She thought she was alone. Behind the kitchen door, sitting on a crate in the storage room, Emily unwrapped a half-eaten burger from the trash. Not from a customer plate, but from the leftovers table where food was thrown away after shifts. She looked around nervously, then took a small bite, as if she hadn't eaten properly in days. What she didn't know, the man watching her wasn't just another employee. He was the owner of the restaurant, and he was undercover. Emily was new. She didn't arrive like most employees do, loud, excited, or eager to impress. She walked in quietly, shoulders slightly curved inward, as if she was trying to make herself smaller. Her uniform was too big on her. Her shoes were worn out. And yet, she smiled. Not a forced smile. A tired one. A smile that said, "I'm okay, I promise." But she wasn't. Every morning, before the doors opened, she was the first one to clock in and the last one to leave. She learned every menu item on day 1. She memorized every drink combination by day 2. No one noticed. Customers barely glanced at her. They waved their hands when they wanted water. They snapped their fingers when they needed more napkins. They talked over her when she asked, "Is everything all right?" Some even slid their plates closer to her without looking up, acting like she was invisible. Her co-workers weren't much better. To them, Emily was just there. "Emily, take table 9. Emily, clean up that spill. Emily, stop being slow." Not a single "please." Not one "thank you." Just orders. Orders she obeyed instantly. The manager, a loud man who moved with more ego than effort, barked at her constantly. "You move like you're underwater. You think customers tip for slow service? You want to keep this job or not?" Emily simply nodded. "I understand. I'll do better." Not once did she roll her eyes. Not once did she talk back. Not once did she defend herself. The girl had mastered the art of swallowing pain. Her life was a routine. Smile. Serve. Apologize. Repeat. But there was something odd. She never ate. During the lunch rush, everyone grabbed fries, nibbled on onion rings, stole a chicken strip here and there. Emily. She quietly sipped water. Sometimes she pretended she wasn't hungry, tapping her stomach and saying, "I ate earlier." But her eyes gave her away. She watched food the way starving people watch bakery windows. Her stomach would growl loudly enough that others could hear, yet she still refused the free staff meal. Each day, she worked double shifts. And not because she wanted overtime. Because she needed the money. When break time came, the other employees did what people normally do. They checked their phones. They laughed. They sat together and talked about parties, memes, concerts, relationships. But Emily disappeared. Not to the parking lot. Not to the restroom. Not outside. She slipped away like smoke. Every time someone asked another employee, "Where does Emily go on her break?" the answer was always the same. No idea. She just disappears. They didn't care enough to find out. But someone did. Someone who wasn't supposed to notice her. The new dishwasher, a tall man wearing an apron and a simple cap. He was quiet too. Observant. Polite. His name was Lucas. What the staff didn't know was that Lucas Grant wasn't a dishwasher at all. He was the owner of the entire restaurant chain, worth millions. But he had a philosophy. You can't fix a broken system from a corner office. So once a year, he went undercover and worked in one of his own branches, as a regular employee, to see how customers and workers were treated. He introduced himself as a nobody. No one questioned it. No one thought twice. Why would they? To them, he was just a guy washing dishes. But Lucas noticed everything. He noticed how the manager mocked people who were too slow. He noticed how employees avoided tables with rude customers, pushing them onto Emily. He noticed how Emily flinched every time someone raised their voice. And he noticed something else. The disappearing act. Every break, Emily slipped through a back hallway, past the kitchen, past the supply shelves, like she didn't want anyone to know where she went. At first, Lucas assumed she was just introverted. But then he saw her wrist. Red marks. Like someone who constantly carried heavy bags or scrubbed floors or worked other jobs before and after this one. She wasn't disappearing because she needed space. She was disappearing because she was exhausted. Lucas tried talking to her once. "You okay? Need a snack?" She smiled. "I'm fine." "Really?" But her voice cracked on the word fine. He let it go. Until one night, closing shift, when he saw her sneak into the storage room. No music. No phone. No scrolling. Just silence. Lucas waited. 10 seconds. 20. 1 minute. Then curiosity won. He quietly followed. When he reached the doorway, he stopped. Emily didn't know he was behind her. She sat on a plastic milk crate, legs pulled close to her chest, half hidden behind a stack of soda boxes. She unwrapped a piece of food from a napkin. Not a meal. Not staff food. Leftovers. Cold, half-eaten leftovers from a customer's returned plate. Emily took a tiny bite, like someone trying to make a small sandwich last forever. She ate slowly, savoring it, cherishing it, because it might be the only food she'd have until tomorrow. Lucas felt his stomach twist. That wasn't hunger. That was desperation. He wanted to say something. He wanted to go in. But he didn't. He stayed back, hidden behind the doorway, staring at the reality he never expected to see in his own business. He came undercover to check customer service. Instead, he found a girl fighting quietly for survival. And at that moment, Lucas understood something. Hunger doesn't always look like a starving person on the street. Sometimes it looks like a waitress still smiling while everyone walks past her. He stepped back from the doorway. And that night, the story changed forever. Lucas pushed the storage room door open slowly, just enough for the hinge to whisper. There she was, Emily, sitting on the cold concrete floor between crates of soda and boxes of napkins. Her knees were pulled to her chest, as if making herself smaller would hide her hunger. In her hand, a paper napkin holding a few cold fries and a half-eaten slice of burger. Not a meal. Leftovers. Food someone else didn't want. She wasn't eating quickly. She wasn't desperate or messy. She was eating slowly, carefully, as if stretching every bite could stretch time itself. She looked like someone who hadn't been given anything in a very long time. Not kindness. Not comfort. Not a full plate of food. Lucas froze. He had seen hardships in life. He'd seen people try and fail, struggle and rise. But he had never seen hunger like this. Hunger that hid behind a smile every day. Emily finally noticed him. She startled, her shoulders jumping before she quickly wiped her eyes with her wrist. The napkin with food slipped from her hand, but she caught it like it was something precious. "I wasn't stealing," she whispered quickly. Her voice was small, like she wasn't used to defending herself. "This was going to be thrown out. I didn't want it to go to waste." She couldn't look at him. Her chin trembled. Her fingers tightened protectively around the napkin. Lucas stepped into the room, shutting the door behind him to block the sound of the kitchen, the clanging pans, the manager yelling, the laughter of co-workers unaware of the moment happening here. He didn't stand over her. He lowered himself onto the cold floor beside her. No authority. No distance. Just two people on the same ground. "Emily," he said softly, "when was the last time you ate a full meal?" She stared straight ahead, refusing to meet his eyes. Silence stretched so long it hurt. Then, in a voice barely louder than breathing, she said, I don't remember. Her throat tightened, her voice breaking on the last word. She covered her face as if she could hide the truth from him, from herself, from the world. Lucas swallowed hard, fighting the pressure building in his chest. You deserve more than leftovers, he said. She shook her head. No. She whispered that single word as if it was a fact, not an opinion. No, I don't. He turned toward her, confused. Why would you think that? Emily took a shaky breath, clutching her napkin like a lifeline. I send all my money to my little brother, she said. He's only 10. Lucas leaned in, listening with his whole body. He hasn't eaten properly since our mom passed, she continued, her voice trembling. I'm all he has. Rent is due next week. If I don't pay, we lose the apartment. And then... She stopped, unable to finish. And then they'll take him from me. Her voice cracked open, exposing the terror she'd been trying to hide under forced smiles and empty stomachs. Lucas felt every word like a blow. He came undercover expecting to learn about customer service. Instead, he found a war being fought silently in the back room of his own restaurant. Emily continued, her words slow and painful. I used to work 3 jobs. One in the morning, one after the shift, and one overnight cleaning offices. But they cut my hours at the night job, and the morning one closed down. She finally looked at him, really looked at him, her eyes glossy with tears. I'm trying, Lucas. I'm really trying. And then the sentence that shattered him. I don't eat so he can. Lucas felt something inside him fracture. Emily thought hunger was normal. She thought survival was her responsibility alone. She thought suffering quietly was the only option. How long have you been living like this? He asked. She hesitated, then murmured. Since the funeral. Lucas blinked. Her mother's funeral. That explained the dark circles under her eyes, the way she held everything inside, the quiet determination to never burden anyone. You're a waitress all day, he said quietly, and you don't even get a meal? They say staff meals are only for full-time employees, she said. And I'm technically still probationary. Lucas clenched his jaw. He knew that was a lie. He wrote the employee handbook himself. Then Emily added something even worse. Sometimes, when I take leftovers, the manager makes me stay after closing to work off the food I ate. Even if it was just fries. Her eyes gleamed with fear, not tears. And if I don't stay, he threatens to write me up or fire me. Lucas felt heat rising in his chest. Not anger. Rage. The kind that shakes your bones. Emily, he asked slowly, why didn't you tell someone? Why not report him? She let out a hollow laugh. Report him to who? The manager is the authority here. She exhaled shakily. And I'm replaceable. Then she finally said the truth she had been choking down for weeks. I'm scared to lose my job. She didn't cry loudly. She didn't break down. She just kept wiping tears that wouldn't stop falling. Lucas felt his throat tighten. He looked around the storage room. The flickering light. The dusty crates. The cold concrete floor. This was where she ate. Alone. Hidden. Ashamed. He came undercover to observe. But now he understood. He hadn't been watching an employee. He had been watching a girl holding her entire world together with nothing but hope and exhaustion. Emily sniffed and picked up the napkin again. I know it looks pathetic, she whispered. Lucas gently placed his hand over hers. There is nothing pathetic about surviving. Emily looked at him, really saw him, as if it was the first time someone had spoken to her like she mattered. He took a deep breath. Emily, things are going to change. She shook her head, not believing him. Lucas, please don't tell anyone. I don't want special treatment. He met her eyes. This isn't special treatment. He stood. This is justice. And for the first time that night, Emily didn't look embarrassed. She looked seen. The next morning, the restaurant buzzed with normal noise. Coffee grinding, plates clinking, orders being shouted across the kitchen. But the moment Lucas walked through the front door, everything changed. He wasn't wearing the dishwasher apron. No gloves. No cap. No name tag. He came in wearing a tailored suit, sharp, confident, a presence the room couldn't ignore. Customers turned. The staff froze. Emily, wiping down a table, looked up slowly, eyes widening in confusion. The manager spotted him first. He hurried over with forced excitement, his voice suddenly sugary. "Welcome in, sir. And may I assist you with?" Lucas didn't shake his hand, didn't smile, didn't pretend. He just looked at him, directly, with a calmness more dangerous than anger. "I'm not here to eat," Lucas said. A strange tension settled over the room. The manager laughed nervously, assuming this was a misunderstanding. Oh, you're here to check our operations? Next time just call ahead, sir. I'll make sure." Lucas cut him off with a single sentence. "I'm not here to observe." He took one step forward. "I'm here to correct." Every server and cook stopped moving. Not even the coffee machine hissed. The manager blinked, confused. Lucas reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, something heavy with consequences. A key card, black, with a gold logo. The staff recognized it instantly. Only one person in the entire restaurant chain had that key card. Only one name was engraved on it. Lucas Grant. The room erupted into tiny gasps and whispers. The owner. That's the owner? He was the dishwasher? The manager's face drained of color. I didn't know. If I had known. Lucas' voice was steady. That's the point. You weren't supposed to know. The manager tried smiling again, desperate. "Lucas, listen, if you need anything." "Yes." Lucas didn't blink. "I need you to pack your things." The manager laughed, a shaky, choking sound, thinking it had to be a joke. "Sir, that's funny. But seriously." Lucas moved closer and placed a tablet on the counter. On the screen, footage, audio. Every cruel moment the manager thought nobody noticed. The video showed him yelling inches from Emily's face as she clutched a tray. It showed him pointing at the schedule, threatening to cut her hours. It showed him snatching food from her hands and throwing it away. "You punished her," Lucas said quietly. The restaurant went silent, dead silent. "You docked her pay for being 3 minutes late," Lucas continued, his jaw tight. "You made her sign write-ups for things she didn't do. You refused to authorize her staff meal, even though she was working double shifts." The manager swallowed hard. "Yes, sir, she was slow. I was just trying to enforce standards. She's not even qualified." Lucas raised his voice slightly, not louder, but sharper. "You screamed at someone who was starving." The manager's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Lucas leaned in, eyes cold. "And you enjoyed it." The tablet screen shifted. New footage. The manager cornering Emily in the storage room, yelling while she tried not to cry. The manager mocking her for being dramatic when she asked to leave early because she wasn't feeling well. The manager whispering threats that she'd lose her job if she took food. The staff stared at the screen in horror. Even the kitchen stopped moving. Lucas clicked the tablet off and slid it into his jacket. "You're fired." The room sucked in a collective breath. The manager sputtered, "Why, you can't just—" "I can," Lucas replied. "And I just did." Two cooks stepped forward, not security, just two people who had finally seen enough. They opened the office door. The manager realized the moment was real. He grabbed his coat, muttering curses under his breath, and stormed out the front door. The bell above the door jingled cheerfully, a sound that didn't match the heaviness in the room. Lucas watched him leave. Then he turned. Emily was standing by the drink station, frozen like she didn't know where to put her hands, her eyes, her emotions. She looked terrified. She thought she was next. Lucas walked toward her. Slowly, purposefully. The whole staff watched. Lucas didn't speak right away. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a white envelope, thick, sealed, heavy. He held it out. "For you." Emily stared at it like it was a bomb. I don't understand," she whispered. "Open it." Her fingers trembled as she slid her thumb under the flap. Inside was a check. A number so high she stopped breathing. It wasn't a bonus. It wasn't charity. It was several months of rent. It was food. It was safety. Emily's eyes shot up to his. "I don't deserve this," she said. Lucas shook his head. "You don't deserve what you've been through." Her eyes filled with tears. "This isn't pity, Emily." He softened. "This is recognition." She looked down at the envelope again, stunned, overwhelmed. Then Lucas continued, "You are not invisible. You are not replaceable. And you are not alone." For the first time since she started working here, Emily let herself breathe. Lucas stepped back and turned to the full staff. "This restaurant changes today," he announced. "No more humiliation. No more fear. No more hunger." He glanced at Emily. "We rise together. Or we don't rise at all." Emily wiped a tear, but for the first time, it wasn't a tear of exhaustion. It was relief. It was hope. And for the first time, she smiled without pretending. Emily held the envelope like it was made of glass. Her fingers trembled as she slid a nail under the flap and opened it slowly, as if she was afraid something so fragile might disappear if she moved too fast. The room was silent. Even the sizzling grill and clinking silverware seemed to stop. Inside was a check. Her eyes scanned the number once. Then again. Then a third time, because her brain refused to believe it. $30,000. Not $300. Not $3,000. But $30,000. Her breath caught. "Lucas. I can't take this." Her voice cracked. She held the check to her chest like a lifeline, like someone had just thrown her a life raft in a storm she had been drowning in for months. "This is for your brother," Lucas said, his voice firm but warm. "For his meals, his school needs, anything he requires." Emily shook her head, tears falling freely now. "I never asked for this." "I know," Lucas replied. "That's why you deserve it." Around them, the entire staff stood frozen. Every server, every cook, even customers had stopped mid-bite. The girl they ignored every day was suddenly the center of the universe. Lucas continued, "You've been giving everything you have, every dollar, every hour, every ounce of energy, to someone else. You've gone hungry so your brother could eat." Emily wiped her tears with the back of her wrist. "No one was supposed to know." "I know," Lucas said gently. "And that's exactly the problem. People like you suffer quietly because you think you don't deserve help." Emily swallowed hard. "I don't want charity." "This isn't charity," Lucas said. "This is an opportunity." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a printed contract. "You are no longer a waitress." Emily blinked. "What?" "You're the new assistant manager of this restaurant," he said, smiling. "Full salary. Health benefits. Paid time off." The words didn't register. She stared at him, still kneeling on the restaurant floor as if her legs wouldn't let her stand. Assistant manager. The same girl who had to hide in a storage room to eat leftovers off a napkin. Lucas reached out a hand. "Stand up, Emily. You deserve to. She hesitated, then slowly placed her small hand into his and stood. The staff erupted into applause, loud, unfiltered, emotional. Even customers joined in. A cook shouted, "About time someone recognized her." Emily looked around, stunned. She wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't pitied. She was seen. She was respected. But Lucas wasn't done. He turned toward the entire staff and raised his voice so everyone could hear. "I went undercover to see how customers were treated." Then he looked at Emily. "But I found something more important." He pointed toward the office where the manager once stood, pale and speechless. "I found out how employees were treated." The staff murmured. Lucas continued. "For weeks, I watched Emily run tables without complaining. I watched her stay late, clean up messes she didn't create, and get yelled at for mistakes she didn't make." He took a breath. "And every night, I watched her disappear. I thought she was avoiding work, until I followed her." Emily lowered her eyes. Lucas spoke gently. "I didn't find an irresponsible employee." He shook his head slowly. "I found a survivor." Emily closed her eyes, trying to hold herself together. Lucas stepped closer and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You are strong, Emily. Stronger than anyone here. Stronger than even you realize." She whispered, "I was just trying to keep my brother safe." Lucas smiled. "And now, you won't have to do that alone." Her face crumpled, and she hugged him, tightly, desperately, as if she had been holding the weight of the world and someone was finally helping her carry it. Lucas leaned down and whispered, "You're safe now." The restaurant exploded into cheers once more. Someone yelled, "You're gonna be amazing, Emily." Another server added, "You deserve the world." The former manager stood silently, boxed up his belongings, and walked toward the door. Nobody clapped for him. Emily didn't even look at him. She was too busy breathing again. Finally, she allowed herself to feel hope. Lucas turned to the rest of the staff and spoke loud enough for every corner of the restaurant to hear. "Let today be a reminder." He gestured toward Emily. "Some people aren't quiet. They're hurting. Some people aren't slow. They're exhausted. And some people aren't invisible. They're just overlooked." Then he looked directly into the camera, the same camera he had installed for his undercover test, and said, "Be kind. You never know the battle someone is fighting." Emily wiped her tears, lifted her chin, and smiled. Not a small smile. A real one. The kind a person wears when they finally see a future. A new chapter had begun. The world didn't save Emily. Emily saved herself. Lucas just opened the door. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes, a small act of kindness can change someone's entire world. Thanks for watching. And remember, be kind. You never know who's fighting a silent battle.